description section below so that you can easily click and follow through. From the question, the additional group of the two users, Ari and Natasha, should be in the admin group, all right? So let's even verify if you have the admin group on the system. All right, so we have the admin group, and we need to add the Ari and Natasha users to the admin group, all right? So to add the user Ari and Natasha to the admin group, it can be done in numerous ways, all right? So we can use the user add command. If you're not too sure about the right command, you can use the -help or use the man option, all right? And if you look at the flag G, it talks about adding group. So if you're in the examination hall, and of course you need to be conversant with the command if you want to be very fast about what you're doing. All right. So to add the user array, let's add the user array first. I'm going to use the -G, then the group and the array. All right. That's the name of the user. So to verify, I can do ID Harry, sorry about that. So you can see that Harry is in the admin group, which is 1004. I can also do cat etc group. So you can see that Ari is already a member of this group. So to add the user Natasha as well, we can use this command and add the user Natasha. And also verify. You can see that the user Natasha is also a member of the admin group. The question further says that the user term should be created, but term should have a non-interactive, the login shell for term should be non-interactive. So to do that, we'll use the command user add. Let me use the flag again, and I want to show you the -S option, which talks about the login shell of a user. All right. So I'm going to use the command user add -S followed by no login option for the user term, right? So I've been able to add the user term. Let's verify that. So I have the user term with a no login shell. If you try to log in with the user term, you'll be denied because there's no login shell for term. Alright, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, and in the next video we're going to look at other questions about users and groups, and we're going to use other methods of solving the questions. Alright, bye for now. Hi everyone. This question is based on network management in Linux. Alright, and the question is configure your host name, IP address, gateway, and DNS. Your host name should be station.domain40.example.com. This should be your IP address, your gateway, and your DNS. So if you've not gone through this course and you don't really have an idea of how to solve this, it's better you go through the RHCSA 8 course, and this is a link to the course. And if you also just want to go straight away to the topics, to the lessons that talked about network management, this are the links, all right? And if you also have some questions to ask pertaining this problem, you can just click this link to ask your question, or you drop a question in the comment section below. I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below. So there are four ways you can solve this problem. You can either edit the NIC configuration file, you can either use the NMCLI utility, you can either use the NMTUI utility, or you can use the GUI. We've talked about this in the course of the study. So that's why you need to go through the course if you don't really have a grasp of understanding about it. All right. So we're going to use the first method, which is by directly editing the NIC configuration file. So let's verify the active NIC on the system. Um, let's do this. So we have the okay, on my system I just have one NIC, which is the ENS33, and I can also verify the active connection by doing NMCLI connection show. All right, so my active connection is ENS33, and on this device ENS33. So the configuration file that I'm going to be editing is the ENS33. So let me just go to the etc sysconfig file. All right, so I have the configuration file here. I'm just going to back this up in TMP directory. All right, so let's do this. Type is Ethernet, right? So process method, I can leave all this. I'm only concerned about the important parameter, which is the boot protocol. I need to change this to none. All right. Then IPv4 address. I need to add the IPv4 address. And prefix, that's the subnet mask, which is 24. I can use net mask 255.255.255.0, or I can just use prefix 24. I'm going to add gateway as well. Sorry, I'm having issues with my dot key, so I'm trying to just make sure it works. All right, and the DNS. All right, let's look at the other parameters we have here. I don't need the IPv6, so I can leave it or I can just delete it. And my device name. All right, so everything seems to be fine. So I'm just going to save this file. Okay. The next thing is to restart the NIC. So I'm connected via SSH. So I'm just going to go to the console and do this because I'm going to be knocked out. I'm connected via the console now. So let me restart the NIC. Should be NMCLI. All right, so let's verify the new IP address. So the IP address has not changed yet. Okay, let's restart Network Manager. So let's verify the IP again. The IP has not still changed. All right, so sometimes you might need to use the if down command if all of these don't take effect. All right, so I'm just going to use if down ENS33, if down. I'm going to use if up ENS33. So let's verify again. So you can see that the IP has changed now. All right. So let's verify the default gateway. Let me just do IP route All right, so the default gateway to has changed. So let me verify the DNS. So the DNS still remains the same. All right, let's look at the configuration file again. So this is the DNS here. I'm just going to add, let me change this to 1, DNS 1. All right, and let me save this file and let me restart network manager. Let's verify the DNS again. So you can see now that the DNS has changed. So the part B of the question is to rename the host name to station.domain40.example.com. So we can just do that by editing the hostname file. So the hostname presently is hqdev1. All right, so we can just edit the hostname file. And I can change this to the new hostname, which is station.domain 40.example. Oops, dot example.com. All right, so I'm going to save this file and I'm going to restart the system d hostname d service for these changes to take effect. All right, so let's verify the new hostname now. So you can see that the hostname has taken effect. All right, so the hostname is station.domain40.example.com. If I open another new terminal, this one would change to station. All right, so let me just do that so you can see. So you can see that the host name has changed. All right. The solution summary is in the website. So if you check the website, you see the solution there as well. So you can either use the website or use the video. All right. So this is just one of the ways you solve a network question in the examination. And every of the RHCSA 8 course has the at the end of the course there's a video for the course, and there's also a practice question. All right, it dumps for the course, so you can always navigate on the website to get the exact thing you want. All right, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 3 is based on managing permission in Linux. All right, and the question is: create a shared directory /home /admins and make it have the following characteristics. All right, so home /admin belongs to the group admin user, and this directory can be read and written by members of the group admin user. And the big part of it is any files created in home admin should permit the group members to be able to read and write on the files. So this question is based on the user and group management in Linux. It's based on creating and managing groups in Linux. It's also based on setting and managing permissions in Linux. It's also based on managing access control list in Linux. So if you've gone through the RHCSA 8 course on this website, solving this question shouldn't be a problem. All right. And also these are the links to the course, to the lesson pertaining to this question. All right, and the solution summary is also here on this website. So let's solve this problem. Let's create the shared directory, which is /home/admins. The question further says that the slash home slash admin should belong to the group admin user. So let's create the group admin user. So let's see the attribute of the home admins file. So it's a directory. Okay, so we want to make this file or directory. We want the group owner to be the admin user. So we need to change that by using the chgrp command, right? So let's see how we can use the chgrp. All right, this option with the file. All right, so that's clear enough. Admin user. So let's see the attribute of the file again. We can see that the owner of this file is now the admin user. I mean, the group owner of this file is now the admin user. Let me quickly mention this. If you forget how to use the command, always use the -help, or you can always use the man page. So for example, if I use the man page for this command, I can just go to the examples, right, and see how it's being used. So we can see this command here. It says that change the group of this file /u to staff. So that means it's going to be this command. So you can just copy this, all right, and paste this here, for example, all right, and then you can now use the command just as we've used the command here. You can see the command that we used, which is change group, all right, just the same way it was mentioned here. We want to change the group. We want the group owner of this file here to be the admin user. So this is how you use the man page. In the Linux tutorial for beginners course, I've talked about how you can use the man pages effectively. So you can always go through that course to learn that too. So let's continue with solving this problem. So in the question, it also says that the directory can be read and written by the members of the group admin user. So let's see the permission on the file. It's a directory, sorry. Okay, so this is the group section, and it's the permission on the group section is just read and execute. So we want this directory to be read by this group, by the members of this group. So I'm just going to use the chmod command, group plus write permission on home admins. All right, so I can check the attribute again. So you can see that I already have the written or the write permission on this file. We are done with the A part, and the B part says that any files created in home admin should permit the group members to be able to read and write on the files. So that means we need to use the ACL permission here and SGID. During the course of the study of the permissions in Linux topic, I talked about the SGID, all right, and I said that on a directory, the SGID means that every group members will inherit the ownership of a newly created file in that directory. So to set the SGID permission, we use the command chmod, the G, that's for the group, and the SGID on home admins. Hi everyone. Question 6 is based on storage management in Linux. And the question is, create a 512 MB partition, make it as ext4 file system mounted automatically on the /mount/data, and which takes effect automatically at boot start. Alright, so this question is based on storage management in Linux in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. So this is the link to the RHCSA 8 course, and this is the these are also the links to the topic pertaining to this course exactly. Alright, and if you need to ask any question, or you also want to solve or contribute to any question, you can also ask here by clicking this link. Okay, so I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below so that you can easily click and navigate through. Alright, so you can also see the solution summary on the website, so it's going to be easy for you by clicking directly on the link in the description section below. And if you also want to see through other questions from questions 1 to 5, just click on this RHCSA 8 exam practice questions, or you check the playlist here on the YouTube channel. You can also see the questions as well. And I also implore you that you subscribe to our channel. It encourages us to do more of this, and you can also comment and like our videos. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve this problem. So let's verify the disk on the server, and to do that I'm going to use the command lsblk. Alright, so you can see that I have apparently I have 3 disks here: SDA, SDB, and SDC. So in the examination hall you might be given a specific disk to work on, or you might just be asked to take any disk depending on how the question comes. The basic thing is you understand what is actually going on and what you are doing. Alright, so here I can see that I have SDB and SDC, alright, and they are free for me to use. Alright, so I'm just going to pick on SDC. I'm going to partition this disk into 512 megabytes according to the question. So I'm just going to use the command fdisk/dev SDC. Alright, I'm going to press N to add a new partition. Alright, so if you need help, you can use the command M as it is stated here, saying command M for help. Alright, but since I actually know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to press enter key. I'm going to do a primary partition. Alright, and I have partition number 1 to 4, so I can use the default, which is 1, or press enter key saying that I want to use the default. And the first sector is default 2048. I'm going to press enter. And the last sector is the default is 83888607. But what I want actually is a 512 MB. So I'm going to create a 512 MB here. Alright. So you can see here, or it's saying you use the sectors or plus size, K for kilobyte, M for megabyte, G for gigabyte, T for terabyte, and P for petabyte. So you should, if you've gone through the course, the RHCSA course, you should know all of this. So I'm not going to, I might not really explain much about this here. So plus 512 MB, and I'm going to press the enter key. Okay, and it's saying that created a new partition 1 blah blah blah. I can use the p command to print the partition to see that, okay, I'm going to be creating a dev SDC1, which is 512 MB, and the partition type is Linux. Alright, and I'm going to press the W, which means write this for me. Alright, so I'm also going to verify. Let's verify what we've done, and let's see. So we can see SDC1 to be partitioned to be 512 MB. The question further says that make it as ext4 file system. So I'm just going to do make file system dot ext4 according to the question. Alright, dev SDC1. Okay, so that is done. And the question says that it should be mounted on /mnt/data. So I'm just going to create the mount point directory /mnt/data. Okay. So I'm going to map the partition to the mount point by doing this mount/dev SDC1, alright, on MNT data. Okay, so I'm going to verify if this has been mounted. So you can see that it's been mounted mnt/data, all right, on dev SDC1. Okay, so the next step we're going to take is to edit the FS tab to make it persistent. All right, so the question says let it take effect automatically at boot start. Okay, so that means we need to edit the FS tab to do that, and I'm going to be using the UUID of that device. So I'm just going to use BLK ID to get the block ID, which means block ID, all right, of this device, dev SDC1, all right. So you can see the UUID. I'm just going to copy this because I need this in the FS tab file, and it's always advisable to always mount your file system using the UUID, because you know, when your system reboots, sometimes the labelings might change. Like for example, the dev SDC can turn to dev SDB, all right. But when you mount your file systems using the UUID, and trust me, even if the numbers changes, I mean, everything will be fine. Everything will be intact. It will not change. All right. I'm talking from experience. I remember one time I was on site, and you know, I actually mounted the file system using the devices, which is dev SDA, dev SDB, and after a system restart, I'm telling you, some file systems were just messed up. All right, so I had to remount it using the UUID. So when you use the UUID, trust me, everything is going to be fine, even if the labeling changes, and except in some few cases, maybe if you're using some software, some software like multipath, yes, so like EMC PowerPath, all right, so that wouldn't change. All right, so I encourage you to mount this with the UUID. So to do that, I'm just going to do that in the FS tab file. I'm going to open the FS tab file, okay, and I'm going to come to the line here. I'm going to put the UUID. This is UUID. UUID equals this UUID. Okay, on MNT data. Oops. MNT data. All right, and the file system type is ext4 default. All right, I can use 00. I've also talked about this column part here in the course of the study, in the tutorial, or so if you want to learn more about that, you can also check the website. And the good thing is that on the website, every tutorial of every subject or topic, they all have their videos, so you can always navigate. So we've made it very easy for you guys. So after doing this, I'm just going to do a mount all to verify that the FS tab file is correctly imputed. Okay, so let's see if you're going to get an error when we do mount -a. Always do this to be sure, so I don't have an error. So that means that my FS tab file is fine. If I reboot the system, everything is still going to be fine. And one thing you would always want to do in the RHCSA 8 exam is to always reboot as many times as possible when you're done with a solution that might probably requires a reboot, to confirm that your system is okay. It's very important. If your system doesn't come up after solving all your questions, trust me, you're going to score a fat 0. I mean capital letter 0. So I'm just going to reboot the system. I'm going to do reboot and let's see what happens. So I'm just going to pause this video, and when the system comes up, we're going to see what we've done, and we're going to see if we've actually done the right thing or not. So our system is back, and we are logged in, and I'm going to do the F-H to see our device, and you can see SDC1 is mounted on MNT/data. Alright, so if I do a let's be okay as well, you can see that it's mounted here. So this is one of the simple questions in storage management. As we go on, we have over 100 questions. As we roll out the questions bit by bit, I'm sure we're going to get to the TOEFL ones, and we're going to solve them as well. All right. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 7 is based on managing Stratus in Linux, and the question is: create a Stratus file system with the name technique_fs from a pool called technique_pool using the devices SDB and SDD. The file system should be mounted on /data22 and must be persistent across reboots. So this question is based on managing layered storage with Stratus in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. So this is the link to the RHCSA 8 course, and this is the link to the lesson pertaining to this question, which is managing layered storage with Stratus in Linux. And this is a link to where you can always ask or answer a question. Alright, so let's solve this question. So the first thing to do is to verify if Stratus D and its utilities are installed on your system. And to do that, we can use the command rpm. We can query for Stratus D and Stratus CLI. So you can see that they are both installed on your system. If it is not installed on your system, you would have to install this utility, and to do that, just use the command yum install Stratus D and Stratus CLI. Alright, so this is already installed on my system. I'm just showing it to you if it is not installed on your system, and if it is not also installed in the exam, you would need to install Stratus D. So after installing it, you need to start and enable Stratus D. So you can use the commands systemctl start Stratus D, alright, and systemctl enable Stratus D. And if you don't like typing like me, you can just use this command straight away to start and enable Stratus D. So just use systemctl enable now Stratus D. This command will both start and enable Stratus D at the same time. Alright, and then you need to verify if this service is running or not. So we can do this to verify for the status of this service. So we can see that it is active and running. Okay, so the question says that we should create a Stratus file system on a technique pool, because when you look at the question, it says that create a Stratus file system with the name technique file system from a pool technique pool using the devices SDB and SDD. Alright, so of course I should know that that pool is not created because we've been given the devices to create the pool from. However, we still need to verify if the pool exists or not. So I'm just going to use the command Stratus pool list. Alright, so you can see that I don't have, as a matter of fact, I don't even have any pool on this system, any Stratus pool on this system. So I'm going to create the pool on SDB and SDD. So let's even see these block devices. So these are the block devices: SDB with 2 gig and SDD with 3 gig. So to create the pool, I'm going to use the command Stratus pool create technique pool on device SDB and on device dev/SDB on device SDD rather. Okay, so let's verify if the pool has been created. So I'm just going to do Stratus pool list. So you can see the pool, technique pool, it has been created. So we can also check the block devices that were used to create this pool. I can just do Stratus block device list on technique pool. So you can see that this pool was created from SDB and SDD. So the combination of these two devices is 5 gig. And now we can create the Stratus file system on the technique pool. Alright, so and the name of the Stratus file system that we have to create is technid_file system. So to do that, we're going to use the command Stratus file system create technid pool, and the name of the file system is technid file system. So the file system is being created, so it's taking time. So we'll just wait for this to complete. So it's complete. Now let's verify that the file system has been created. So I'm just going to do file system list. So you can see that the file system has been created under technid pool. Okay. So let's see what the question says again. The question says that it should be mounted on data 22. So we need to make this directory. And the question says that it should be persistent. So that means we're going to edit the FS-tab file. So, but first, let's make this directory, which is this mount point, which is data 22. All right. So I'm going to mount this guy, Stratus. Of course, this is the path. All right. We've established this fact when we were doing the course of the study. So I've already posted the link to the lesson in the description section below if you want to learn more about Stratus. So this is going to be Stratus. This is /Stratus technid pool technid file system and data 22. So I can now do df-h. You can see that it's been mounted. Okay. So now that it's been mounted, what we need to do is to get the UUID of this Stratus file system. And to get the UUID, I can use the command blkid-p on Stratus /technid pool underscore pool. Oops, okay, let me just extend my screen a bit so we can see the underscore. Alright, so I guess it's fine now. So on technid file system, I can do enter, so you can see the UUID. I'm just going to copy this UUID and put this in the FS-tab file. Alright, so I can edit the FS-tab file now. So this is going to be just going to insert this here. UUID equals the UUID on data 22. Data 22. This is going to be XFS. Of course, you know that. We've established that when we were discussing about Stratus. So this is going to be default. So I need to tell systemd, right, that it requires the Stratus service. So I'm just going to do this and say, okay, systemd requires stratusd dot service, and this is going to be 0, 0. So I'm just going to save this. I can do -8 to see if I'm going to get an error. I don't have any error, so of course it means that my FS-tab file is well configured, and I can also reboot the system. So let's reboot the system and see if our system comes back up. Our system should be up by now. So I'm just going to do a restart. Yes, so I can log in. I'm going to log in. To do password. Put in the password. Alright, so everything is okay. If I do df-h, my data 22 is still mounted. Alright. If I do let's be okay, of course I'll see my Stratus file system. So I guess on question 30 or question 35, we also solved a Stratus question where we had to I think extend the Stratus volume and then also did a Stratus snapshot. Alright, so as you solve more questions as you go on, you would see other questions, video questions, Stratus questions, container questions, questions on the basic topics in the exam objectives. All right. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome to question 8. All right, so to see questions 1 to question 7, just click on the RHCSA 8 exam prize questions here. All right, when you click here, it's going to take you to the questions that we have so far. I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below. All right, so question 8 is about archiving files in SELinux, and the question is: create a backup file named /root/backup.tar.bzip2. The backup file should contain the content of /user/local and should be zipped with bzip2 compression format. Furthermore, ensure SELinux is in enforcing mode. If it is not, change SELinux to enforcing mode. Alright, so this question is based on the archiving and compressing files and managing SELinux in the Learn Linux from Scratch series and the RHCSA 8 course on this website. Alright, so if you've not gone through this course, or if you have gone through this course, rather, solving this wouldn't be a problem. So this is a link to the RHCSA 8 course. Alright, so this is also a link to the Learn Linux from Scratch series. This is a link to the topic itself, which is archiving and compressing files in Linux, and this is also a link to managing SELinux. So you can click on these links and it will take you to the chapters, and you can also ask whatever questions you want to ask. By the time you click on this link, it will take you to the page where you can ask your questions, or you just ask your questions in the comment section below, or you come to this website and you drop your questions. All right, so let's solve this problem. The question says that the backup file should contain the content of the /user/local. So let's go to user local and see what we have in here. Okay, so you can see that we have directories in here. So this problem can be solved in 2 ways. We can either use the tar utility to first of all archive this directory and then use the bzip2 utility to compress the file, or we use the tar utility straight away to compress the file in bzip2 format. So let's solve this using the first method, and we can also use the second method so you can see both ways. So what we're going to do first of all is to archive this file using the tar utility, and to do that I'm going to use the command tar, which is create file verbose. Alright, I'm going to call this name according to the question. I'm going to say backup.tar according to what the question says. We should call the name, alright, of user local, and I'm going to back this up in /root because the question says that create a backup file name /root/backup.tar.bzip2. So I want this to be in /root. Okay, alright, I can see some errors here which says exiting with failure status due to previous error, blah blah blah. What could be the reason? So I can see my backup.tar here in local directory, which is not supposed to be so, and I cannot see it in root. So I mean, it should be in root, but for whatsoever reason I can't start troubleshooting that right now, because I just want to assume that I'm in the examination hall. So if you're also in the examination hall, I mean, if you can avoid doing a lot of troubleshootings, if you can use other routes, you should please do that. And the other route we can use is to go to the root directory and run the command. So it's just going to archive that directories in the root directory. So let me just remove this here. Alright, so my local is fine. I'm just going to go to the root directory and run the command straight away here. So I'm just going to remove this option. I'm going to do ls. So you can see that I have the backup.tar in the root directory. Okay, always work smart in the exam hall. Alright, fine, we know we can use the man page or we can use the --help, but man, in the examination hall, if you can avoid all of that, you should please avoid it. So let's verify the type of file this file is. So we can do file backup.tar. You can see that it is an archived file, So after doing this, we can then use the bzip2 utility to compress the file, this account file, by using the command bzip2, alright, followed by backup.tar. Alright, so when we do ls, you can see that the file name has changed to backup.tar.bz2, the same way the question says it should be. Alright, and if you look at the type of compression format it is, you would see that it is a bzip2 compressed data. Alright, the second method is very straightforward. So for us to use the second method, for example, so I'm just going to delete this so it's not going to be confusing. Alright, so for us to use the second method, you can just use the tar utility to do that straight away. If you use tar --help and you scroll up, you will see some options here which I want to show to you. You can see the J option which says bzip2, and it says filter the archive through bzip2. Alright, so we can use the J option while using the tar utility, and to do that we just use the command tar create, alright, compress in bzip2, which is J, a file, verbose, alright, followed by the name of the file, which is backup.tar.bzip2, according to what the question says we should do. Alright, then followed by user/local. Okay, so when you do ls, you can see that you already have the file backed up and compressed using the bzip2 format. And if you do file, so just to confirm this, you can see that the file is being compressed in bzip2 format. Alright, so the B part of the question says that we should ensure that SELinux is in enforcing mode. Alright, and to do that we can use the command SEStatus. It will show us what mode SELinux is. So you can see the current mode of SELinux is in enforcing mode. And you can also do get get enforce, if I'm correct. Get enforce. Yeah, so get enforce too will show you the mode of SELinux. Alright, so for you to be very sure, because sometimes you can use some commands to change SELinux mode from enforcing to permissive, and that changes might not be persistent, it might not be permanent depending on the command you use to do that. But for you to be very sure, just check the configuration file by using the command cat sc etc SELinux config. Alright, and when you see the configuration file here, you can see that SELinux is in enforcing mode, so there's nothing to do. If you actually want to change SELinux from enforcing to permissive, from permissive from permissive to enforcing mode, if SELinux were actually to be in permissive mode rather, so you can just do that here by using the configuration file, and then you reboot the system and the changes is going to be in enforcing mode. Alright, so since this is already in enforcing mode, there is nothing to do here, so this is fine. So I'm just going to give you a parting note before I go. You should know that tar is a file archive utility that takes a number of files, directories, and put them in a single file or single location. Alright, and tar can also be used to compress and archive a file or directory. And other utilities that can be used to compress a file are the zip, the gzip utility, of course, which is the tar-z, and the bzip2 utility, and xz, and other utilities. Alright, so this is the way you're going to solve this question. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 9 is based on managing containers in Linux, and the question is: as the student user, create a detached Apache HTTP web server container with the name site1 and with the tag that has the lowest version 1-122 from rel8/httpd-24 image. Use the registry.redat.io registry. Use the username administrator and the password admin123 create and mount the /home/storage/html directory as a persistent storage to the container as var www. The content of this should be extracted from this, alright. Also, port 8080 on the container should be mapped to port 8080 on the host. Declare the environment variables httpd_user and this, and use admin as their values. Configure the container as a service using systemd and make the web server or container persistent across reboots. This question is based on managing containers in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. This is the link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is the link to the topic or lesson pertaining to this question, which is managing containers in Linux. And this is the link to where you can ask your questions or comment. You can also ask your questions in the comment section below. So I'll be dropping the link to this particular question in the description section below so that you can easily navigate. Alright, so you can also see the solution summary here on the website. So if you want to just come to the solution summary, just click on the link that I'll be dropping in the description section below. So let's solve this question. For us to be able to create or configure containers, we need the container tools module. Alright, so let's verify if the container tools module is installed on the system. And to do that, we can use the command yum module list installed. I'm going to grep for container tools. You can see that the container tools module is already installed on the system. If this module is not installed on your system, you can easily use the command yum module install container tools. Alright, so this command is going to install the container tools module on your system. Okay, so but because I have this module already installed on the system, you can see that there is nothing to do and it's complete. Alright, and don't forget that the question says that as the student user we should create the container, but right now I'm logged in as the root user. So it depends on how your question comes. If the student user is a sudo user, for you to be able to install the container tools module, of course you would need to add sudo in front of your command. And if the student user is not the sudo user, you're going to be given the root password in the exam. So it depends on how your exam question comes. Alright, so since the question says that we should do this as the root, as the student user, I'm just going to log in as the student user. Alright, now you can see that I'm logged in as the student user. The next thing we need to do is to log in to the image registry using the credentials given, so that we can be able to download the image. And to do that, we're going to use the command podman login and the registry, which is registry.redhat.io. Alright, so it's asking me for the username. I'm going to simply put in the username and the password. You can see that I've been able to authenticate successfully. Alright, so for you to be able to do this also, during the course of the lesson I mentioned how you can get your credentials as well. If you don't know how to do this and you want to practice, you need to look at that course, you need to look at that lesson so that you can be able to get your credentials as well. Alright, so after logging in successfully, what we can do right now is to download the image. And don't forget that the question says that we should use the image with the latest version, the tag with the latest version rather, which is 1-122. Okay, so let me look at the question again so I can be very sure of the tag to use. Okay, 1-112. Okay, and for us to use this tag, it's going to be a good idea for us to even inspect the image, and we can use the scopio command to inspect the image and see the image that has the lowest tag. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to simply use the scopio command. I'm going to do scopio, alright, inspect the occur on the registry. The image username, alright, and this is the image, which is http d-24. The file is quite large, so I'm going to pipe this to more. Or before I do that, let me just clear my screen, and I'm going to pipe this to more. So you can see the image we are asked to use, which is this. Alright, if you scroll down, if I do spacebar, you can see the image that has the latest tag, which is latest, of course, and you can see all other tags here. Okay, so in the exam, you might be given a specific tag to use. Alright, it depends on how the question comes. In our own case, we've been given the tag with the lowest version, which is 1-112, and that is what we're going to use in this exam practice question. Now that we've been able to inspect our image, we can now download the container image from the registry. And to do that, I'm just simply going to use this command, which is podman. I'm going to pull it from this registry. So this is podman pull, okay, from this registry.redhat.io, and I'm going to add the tag we are asked to use, which is 1-112. Okay, you can see that it's trying to pull the image right now, and the image is being downloaded. My internet is a bit slow, alright, so I'm just going to pause this video until the image finishes its download. You can see now that the blobs have been downloaded and the image as well. Okay, so before we create the container, let's prepare the persistent storage so that we can attach it to the container. Alright, so from the question, we need to verify if /home/student/storage/html exists. Anyways, the question says we should create a mount, alright, so it shouldn't exist, but it's not a bad idea if you still verify. So I'm just going to do this. Alright, so you can see that there is no such file or directory. Okay, so let's make this directory, and to do that we can just simply do make directory. I'm going to make it the parent directory on storage HTML. Alright, the content of this directory should be extracted from tmp image containers.tgz according to the question. Alright, so that's what we're going to do right now. I'm just going to extract the content of this directory. Alright, so this is tar extract file verbose from tmp image containers.tgz. Alright, so I'm going to extract it to home student storage HTML. Alright, so let's even view the content of this file. It's going to be HTML. Alright, so this is the content. This is a web file for your container images on the storage. Okay, this is nice. We need to verify if others have the read permission on the file. Alright, so others should be able to read the file. and we should also make sure that the directory has the file itself too has the read permission as well. Okay, so let's start with the directory. So I'm just going to use the command ls-ld on storage. Alright, so we can see that others have the read and the execute permission, which is fine. And I'm also going to do this on the file, which is going to be this on storage html index.html. So you can see that others have the read permission on the file as well. So this is fine. Now that we are done preparing our storage, we can now create the container. Alright, so I'm going to clear the screen. So to create the container, I'm going to use the podman command as well. So I'm going to do podman run. Alright, so it's going to be a detached container according to the question. So it's going to be an -d, and the question says that we should name the container site1. Alright, and that we should also map port 8080 on the host, on the container host to the container. Alright, and the question says that we should create environment variables as well, which is httpd underscore user. We were given two environment variables and we're giving their values to be admin. Alright, so this is going to be admin. So we're going to add the other environment variable, which is httpd underscore password. Alright, so this is also admin. So the question says their values should be admin, and we're going to add the storage. Okay, so which is -v, which means -volume. This is going to be home student storage on the container host. Alright, so the question says that on the container the storage should be mapped as, let me see the question again. So like I said, I'm going to drop the link to the to this website in the description section below, so that you can always put the question side by side and you can always solve if you want to practice. So let me verify, because right now the question is by my side. So the question says that we should create and mount this as a persistent storage to the container as /var/www. So that's what we're going to do right now. So on the container, it's going to be var www, and for us to make the context, the file context, what it is, we need to add the Z option. Alright, during the course of the study, I explained this too as well. I said that when you're attaching to storage, you need to make use of SELinux, and when you use this Z option, it means that the SELinux type context will be set as container-file-t. Alright, and lastly, we need to add the registry, which is registry.redhat.io on the image as well, which is httpd-24, and the tag, which is 1-112. Alright, so you can see that the container has been created, and you can see that it's very fast. Alright, and the reason why it is very fast is because we had to download the image first. Alright, so if you run this container without downloading the image first, of course it would work, but it will have to go and download the image first. Alright, so now we can verify if the container is running or not, and to do that we can use the command podman ps. So you can see that the container is running. This is the container ID. Alright, and this is the image, and this is the command. It was created 32 seconds ago. It is up. Alright, and you can see the port number. You can also see the name of the container, which is site1. Alright, I love to do this 2 times or 3 times, because you never can tell. The container can just stop, and if the container stops that way, you need to check the log. So I'm just going to run this again to be very sure. So you can see now that the container is running. If you also check the archive file, of course, the container should be in the archived file as well. Alright. The next thing we need to do is to verify if we can access the storage on the container with the forwarded port. And to do that, I can use the command call http. I'm just going to do this on the local host, and this is going to be on port 8080. Alright, so this is very much good. You can see now that we can access our storage on the container. Alright, and after doing this, the question says that we need to configure the container as a we need to make it persistent. Alright, and the reason is because if you power off the system right now, everything that we have done would be gone because this is not persistent. Alright, so you can try that when you're doing your practice. When you power down, when you power off the system, every configuration would go except to make it persistent. Alright, and to make this persistent, we need to configure the container as a systemd service. Alright, and to do that, what we're going to do first of all is to create the systemd directory where a user's unit file can be defined. Alright, we've also talked about this during the course of the lesson, and to do that, I'm going to create it in this directory, which is I'm going to make it a parent directory. This is going to be home student on.config systemd user. Alright, and then I need to generate the student users unit file so that we can make use of the container as a service, and I need to make sure that I generate it here in this directory. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is to change directory to that directory. I'm going to do home student.config systemd user. Alright, so let's generate the unit file. This is going to be podman generate systemd. This is going to be name. Alright, that's the name of the container, which is site1, and files. I'm saying generate the new files here. Alright, and let's verify if it has been generated. So you can see now that it has been generated. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is to make the container as a service persistent across reboot, and to do that I need to enable the linger feature for this user. Alright, and to do that I'm going to do loginctl enable linger for this user. Alright, okay, so let's verify if the feature has been enabled for this user. So I'm going to do login ctl show user student. Alright, okay, so this is it. You can see that the linger option has been enabled for the user student. Okay, so we're on the right track. We are almost done, and this is so much very good because we know that we're going to get this question so very right. Alright, now that we've been able to do this, we need to start the container as a service. But first of all, of course, we know the container is running, so let's stop the container. I'm going to do podman stop site1. Alright, so the container is stopped, and let me verify that. So you can see that the container is stopped. I can also remove it from the archived file. So to do that, because right now I know it's still archived, but I'm going to remove this so I can show you this. Okay, so let's see this again. Alright, so it's been removed from the archived file. Now we're going to start the container as a service. Okay, so let's do this. This is system ctl user daemon reload. Sounds like a daemon. right, now we need to enable the service, and to do that I'm going to do systemctl user enable now container site1 dot service. Alright, you can see that it has created the same link as well. Okay, so let's verify if the container started. Alright, you can see now that the container has started already, which is very fine. And let's also verify the container storage using the call command. Alright, so you can see that we can also access the storage. So right now, if we reboot the system, our container is still going to run, rather it's going to come up as a service. So let's reboot the system and let's confirm that. Oops, okay, I'm a student user, so I'm just going to this student user here is not a sudo user, so I need to switch to the root user so I can reboot. Our system should be up by now. Alright, so I'm going to log in as the student user. Alright, so let's verify our container. Alright, so you can see that it is running and it is running very fine. Okay, so this is how you're going to solve this type of question in the examination hall. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please, when you subscribe, it encourages us to do more. And apart from that, there are a lot of sweet courses that I'm going to be doing for you guys. Alright, and I don't want you to miss out. There are a lot of things I will be doing for you guys. I don't want you to miss out. And I also don't want you to miss out on the updates. So please subscribe to this channel, like our videos, alright, and encourage us. So thank you once again. Bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 10 is based on process management in Linux, and the question is: an SAP application process from the development server is being transported to your server. Your server is the middleman that runs the quality assurance test before it is transported to the production environment. 3 processes with the highest CPU utilization on your server is causing your server to be very slow. Find and list out these processes. Stop the process with the lowest CPU utilization and terminate the 2 highest processes. The question further says that make sure to restart the HTTPD service and make the service persistent before resuming the stopped process that will later be transported to the production server. Please take note, the process ID of the HTTPD service should not change. Alright, so this question is based on managing process in Linux and managing services in Linux in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. So if you've gone through this course on this website, solving this wouldn't be a problem. Alright, so this is the link to the course. This is the link to the RHCSA 8 course, and this is the link to the topic pertaining to this problem. Alright, so this is the link to managing process in Linux, and this is the link to managing services in Linux. And if you have any questions, you can click this link to ask your questions, or to also contribute or answer any question, or you can also drop it in the comment section below as well. Alright, so let's solve this problem. Okay, so the question says that 3 processes with the highest CPU utilization on your server is causing your server to be very slow. Find and list out these processes. Stop the process with the lowest CPU utilization. Alright, so you know about the top command. The top command will show you the processes that are consuming higher resources on your system. Alright, so if I use the top command to show the top resources, so you can see the top processes here. you can see the load 2 process, you can see the DD process, and you can see the load process. All right. So the top command, the processes fluctuate depending on the CPU power they consume over a period of time. All right. So you can also determine that from the load average here. Okay. So the load average over the period of 1 minute is 4.20. The load average over the period of 5 minutes is 4.14, and the load average over the period of 15 minutes is 3.26. all right. So you can see that the three processes are consuming higher CPU power, all right, are the load 2 process, the DD process, and the load process. All right, and you can see that the load 2 process is consuming between this is just 42 dot, this is load 2 right now. So DD is between, let's see, DD between 30 is, DD is 40.1 right now, DD is 40.7 right now, DD is 41.1 right now, so DD is 38.4. So let's say DD is consuming between 37, all right, to 45% CPU power. All right, you can see load 2 to about that amount too, between say 35 to 45%, and you can see the load process, it's consuming between say 15% to let's say, yeah, between 12%. So this is 13.6. So let's say between 12% to 25% actually. So you can't really tell because it's fluctuating, and again you can see that the DD process and the load 2 process, they have almost the same CPU utilization. So, and the question first of all says that we should list the three processes that are consuming more CPU power. We've been able to list them, all right, which is these three processes: the DD process, the load 2 process, and the load process. So, and the question says that we should terminate the two highest processes, right? But what if the question says that you should identify the highest process here? You won't be able to really tell, because the load 2 process and the DD process, they kind of have the same CPU, the amount of CPU power, all right? So that's why you should also know how to make use of the PS command. Okay, so we're going to make the use of the PS command, and we can actually get the process that is actually consuming the highest resources. All right, so to do that, I'm just going to use the PS command. I'm going to use the option EO. I've always told you that if you don't understand the command, you can always check the man page or use the --help option. All right, so I'm going to look for the process ID, followed by the command CMD, followed by the percentage CPU, all right, then followed by the percentage memory. Okay, so I'm going to sort this out. I'm going to say, okay, sort this using the CPU, okay, and I'm going to pipe this to head. I want to see the first 5 lines, all right, and I'm going to use the enter key. So you can see the CPU here. You can see 41%, which is being consumed by the load 2 process. You can see the DD process, it's consuming about 39.4%, and you can see the load process is consuming 17.0 CPU percentage. All right, so you can see that the load 2 process is actually consuming more. Okay, so that's how to go about it. So let's continue with the question. And by the way, if you want to see how I generated the this script, so probably if you want to do this in your environment, you can actually go online and you can check Stack Exchange and see some scripts that you can use to put stress on your CPU. And also to it's simple as well. I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below, so you can also see how I was able to easily generate this script. So for example, if I do the cat DD, all right, so you can see the scripts that I used. I just did DD if blah 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 and off to dev null, and I just ran the scripts and I said DD. Okay, so if you have any question, you can just drop that in the comment section and I'll be glad to answer that. Okay, so going forward, We've been able to identify the three highest processes according to the question, and the question further says that let me look for the next part. Okay, find and list out the three processes, and the question further says stop the process with the lowest CPU utilization. So the process with the lowest CPU utilization is load. All right, the load process. So it says we should stop this process, and during the course of this study in the RHCSA 8 course, I've talked about signal, and I've talked about that killing a process is actually sending a signal to a process. So I'm not going to explain much about that here. We just want to solve the question. We're just assuming that we're in the examination hall. But I'll try as much as possible to also explain so you can get it. So I'm just going to send the stop signal. All right, I'm going to do 6 stop to the load process, and the load process here has the process ID of 34500. So I'm just going to do 34500. Okay, so I can confirm that this process has been stopped by using the command psaux. All right, I'm going to just grep this to 34500. So you can see the process here. This is the signal T, which means that the process has been stopped. All right. So the question says that we should terminate the two highest processes. So since the question didn't mention the type of termination signal, we can either use the sig kill or the sig term signal. However, it is always recommended to always terminate a process gracefully, so we can use the sig term signal. So to do that, we're going to just use the kill command. I'm going to send the sig term signal, all right, to the process 34506. All right. So we've been able to kill that process, and to the process 34610. All right. So don't forget to, let me just do this so I can show you that if you don't want to use the signal name, you can also use the signal ID number. So if I do this, it's going to show me the signal ID number. So for sig term, for example, you can see that it has an ID number of 15. So, and by default, if I don't put this 15, it will always take sig term by default. So if I don't want to use the signal name, I can just do this 15. All right, and it's going to kill the process. So we can verify that the process has been terminated. So to do that, we just use the command psaux. I'm going to grep this to the first process I killed was 34506. All right. So you can see that the process is no more, and the second one is 34610. Oops, this process is still running. But I thought we killed this process. Oh, okay, the hash sign was still in front. So we need to kill this process. We didn't actually kill this process. So we need to kill this process. Alright, so let's verify now. Alright, so you can see that the process is dead. Okay, so it's not running anymore. Alright, so you can also use the top command to verify. You can see that we can't see this process is here anymore. However, the load process has been stopped. So there is a big difference between terminating a process and stopping a process. Moving forward, the question says that we should further restart the HTTPD service and make sure that the PID of the HTTPD service still remains the same. All right. I've also talked about this in managing services in the RHCSA 8 course, that there's a difference between reloading a service and restarting the service. So if I restart the service, the process ID is going to change, but if I reload this service, the process ID isn't going to change. So I can just confirm the process ID of the HTTPD service first. So do we, yeah, of course the service is running, so the process ID is 1229, but you can still probably confirm. All right, so you can see that the process is actually running. So what I'm going to do right now, don't forget that I've been able to confirm the process ID to be 1229. So I'm just going to rather reload the service. I'm just going to use the command systemctl reload httpd. Alright, so it's taking time. So we can verify the process ID again. So you can see that it hasn't changed, right? We still have it to be 1229. Alright, so that's how you can always reload a service. Okay, so I think the last part of the question further says that make sure to restart the HTTPD service, which we have done, and make the service persistent before resuming the stopped process. Okay, so the service needs to be, if the service needs to be persistent, that means it has to be enabled. And from the question here, from the status here, you can see that HTTPD is actually enabled. So you can see it here. You can also use the command systemctl. I think the command is enabled from is enabled. Trying to get the command again. You have forgotten the command. Alright, it's enabled. Oh, can I just forget this? Too few arguments. HTTPD. Alright, so you can see that the service is enabled. If the service is not enabled, you can just do systemctl, then enable HTTPD. Alright, so it's going to enable the service. And the question, don't forget that the part of the question says that make sure to restart the HTTPD service and make the service persistent before resuming the stopped process. So that means we need to resume the stopped process, and the process we stopped was the load process. Okay, so for us to resume the load process, let's get the process ID again. Let me just do PSAUX. I'm just going to grep for load. Alright, so the load process is 34500, so we need to resume this process, and to do that I'm going to send the sigcont signal, alright, to this process 34500. Alright, so if I run this command again, you can see that the load process, the symbol has changed and it has started running again. And if I do top, you should be able to see the load process. Alright, so thank you for watching. Like I've said, I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below. Alright, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. In the next question, I'm going to show you some other ways to solve processes problems in Linux. Alright, so thank you once again for watching. Bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome to question 11, and question 11 is based on video management in Linux, and the question is: you have been provided with a disk drive attached to your system/dev/stc. Create a video volume with the name class1_video and the logical size of 30 GB. Format the video volume with the XFS file system. Mount it on /class1_mnt and make it persistent across reboot. So this question is based on configuring and managing video volume in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. So this is the link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is the link to the topic pertaining to this question, which is installing, configuring and managing video in Linux. And this is the link to where you can ask your questions, and you can also answer questions. You can also drop or ask your questions in the comment section below. Alright, so I'll be dropping the link to this website, the link to this particular question in the description section below. So let's solve this question. The first thing to do is to verify if the video service and the K-video module are installed on the system. And to do that, we can use the command rpm. You can query for the video service and the K-video package. Alright, so you can see that they are already installed on the system. If they aren't installed on your system, just use the command yum install video and K-video to install them. Okay, and you can also use the DNF package manager if you don't want to use the yum package manager, depending on your preference. Alright, whichever one is going to work on your system. So now that you've been able to verify that these services or these packages are on the system, the next thing to do is to make sure that the video service is running and enabled. And to do that, we can use the command systemctl status video. Okay, so you can see that on my system the service is active, it is loaded, and it is excited, it's fine. Okay, so it's running, and you can see that it is also enabled on the system. If it is not enabled on your system, you need to enable the service, and if it is not running, you need to start the service. Alright, to start the service, you can just use the command systemctl start video, and to enable the service, you can just use the command systemctl enable video. So this is going to start and enable the service. Now that I've been able to verify that video service is running on our system, the next step to take is to create the video volume on the SDC device according to the question. Alright, so let's even verify the block devices that we have on the system. You can see that we have the SDB, and the SDC device. So the question says that we should create the video volume on the SDC device, and you can see the SDC device to be 10 gig. Alright, so we need to use the video create command to create the video volume. And I've always told you from time to time that if you're confused about using any particular command in Linux, you can always use the help command. You can just do --help, and if you're not comfortable with the help command, if you can't find what you really want, then you should opt for the man page. Okay, so you can see that here I can't really see what I want. I want to know how to create the video volume with the video command, but I'm not really seeing what I want here, so I'm going to opt for the man page. Alright, so I'm going to do man video, and I can search for examples. Okay, so this is one example, so I'm just going to press N to the next examples. So this is what I actually want, so I can just copy this and I'm going to paste this here. So I can always use this format to create the video volume. And according to the question says that we should create a video volume with the name. So this is going to be name. The name is going to be class1_video. So that's what the question asks us to do on the device. This is going to be dev SDC. Okay, and the logical size, the video logical size is it's going to be 30 gig according to the question. Okay, so you can now see that the video volume has been created. You can see that it's been started here, and you can see that it is ready at dev mapper class1_video. You can also verify that the video has been created by using the command video list. This is going to show us all the video volumes we have on the system, and you can see that we just have one video volume, which is class1_video. Okay, so the question further says that we should format the video volume with the XFS file system, and to do that we can use the command mkfs .xfs. I can keep the block devices by using the option -k if I want to, and if I don't want to, I might not use the option. So I'm going to make this XFS. So it's been done right now, and the next step is to create the mount point. According to the question, it says we should create the mount point of class 1 underscore MNT. That's what the question says. It says it should be mounted here. So we're just going to create this mount point, and we're going to map the video volume to the mount point. And to do that, I can just use the command mount on dev mapper class 1 underscore video. I'm just going to mount it on class 1 underscore mount. Okay, so I can verify that it has been mounted by using this command. Alright, so you can see that this video volume has been mounted on class 1 underscore mount. Okay, so don't forget that the question says that the video volume should be persistent, and to make it persistent, that means we need to input the UUID in the FSTab file, and to do that we need to get the UUID of the video volume. So we can use the command lsblk. I can do output equals UUID, okay, for dev mapper class 1 underscore video, and I can just copy this UUID and I'm going to put this in the FSTab file. Okay, so I'm going to do vim on FSTab file. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do UUID equals, just going to paste the UUID here, and this should be under class 1 underscore MNT according to the question. So what I'm doing is I have the website here with me, so I'm just looking at the question as I'm solving the question. I'm also looking at the question. So that's why I said I'm going to be posting the link to the question in the description section below, so you can just have the question by your side while you also solve the question. So it's going to be easy for you to do that. Okay, so this is class 1 underscore MNT, and I'm going to make this XFS. This is going to be default. So I'm going to also advise you that you specify that systemd should require video.service. Okay, so I don't want you to be doing this often. Like, I don't want you to be repeating yourself when you reboot your system, and if your system doesn't come up, and then you now have to come and put this here. So it's better you just put it in once and for all. So I'm just going to say systemd requires the video service, and this is going to be 0, 0. Now I can save this file, and I can do mount -8 to be sure that the FSTab file is fine. Okay, so I believe that everything is fine, and I can reboot my system now. Like I've always told you, one major criteria in passing the exam is that after solving all your questions, you should be able to reboot your system, and your system must come up. If your system doesn't come up, you're going to score a fat 0. Alright, so what you can always do is when you solve questions that's got to do with touching your FSTab file, you can just solve all the questions together. If you have like 2, 3, 4 questions that's got to do with FSTab file, you can solve them and then reboot your system all at once. Hopefully, if your system comes up, then it's okay, and if your system doesn't come up, you need to troubleshoot why your system didn't come up. I remember that in one of the questions that we solved, we rebooted our system and the system didn't come up. So I showed you, I think that should be question 39 thereabout. So I showed you how to troubleshoot in that regard, how you can know why your system didn't come up, and you can always fix that issue. All right, and also if you're working on things that's got to do with you touching your kernel as well, okay, or rebuilding your kernel image, maybe you are asked to upgrade your kernel and you have to rebuild your kernel image, you also need to reboot your system to make sure that your system is up. All right, so you need to know when to reboot your system and when not to reboot your system. So what I'm going to do is going to also give you the tips, the exam tips to know what and what not to do in the exam. Okay, so thank you for watching. Sorry, before we go, I need to reboot the system. So I'm just going to reboot the system. So let's wait and see if it's going to come up. So I guess the system should be ready now. I'm just going to restart this section. So our system is up. So let's enter the password. Alright, and let's verify again. So I'm just going to do df-h on the class 1. Alright, so you can see that the video volume is still mounted. So this is very much okay. And I would also employ you to lay your hands on the question, on the video question, where we have to create a logical volume on the video volume. Alright, so solve as many questions as possible. We have a lot of questions, 50 questions, 80 questions, 100 questions. So it's better you solve as much as possible, the ones you want to solve. And the good thing is that, after the question, you would always see the topic pertaining to the question. So, for example, if you're not so much good at video, you can just take all the video questions and then solve them. If you're not so much good at scheduling a task, for example, you can just take all the scheduling task questions and solve them. So we have a lot of questions for you to solve, and I can guarantee you that when you solve all these questions, you're going to definitely pass your exam. Alright, so thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 12 is based on recovering root password, recovering or resetting root password, and the question is: the system administrator has just resigned from your organization abruptly. As the new administrator, reset the root password of the HQ-Dev1 server to password 123. This question is based on resetting or recovering the root password in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. This is Abina. This is the link to RHCSA 8 course. This is the link to the 4 different methods to reset the root password in Linux, Red Hat 8. And this is a link to where you can ask your questions. So I'll be dropping the link to this website in the description section below. You can also ask your questions there. So like I've said, we've done this during the course of the study. We did it in 4 ways, but I'll be using method 1 to do this. So here is the system that we need to reset its password. What I'm going to do right now is to restart this system, okay? Alright, so you can see that the system is being restarted, and I'm going to make sure that I interrupt the boot process and edit the kernel line. Alright, so this is the kernel line that I'm going to edit, and I'm going to press the E button on my keyboard, and I'm going to go to the line Linux. So sometimes yours might be Linux 16. Just go to this line and look for RO, which means read only. I'm going to change this to read write. So I'm going to say read write initialize init. Alright, so read write init equals to /sysroot /bin/bash. Then I'm going to press Ctrl X to put the system into the single user mode. So let's wait for the system to put to single user mode. Alright, it's taking its time to do that. Okay, so you can see that we are in the single user mode now. Alright, so I need to mount the root file system on /. Okay. now that I've been able to mount the root file system on slash, I can change the root password. So I can say password root, and I'm going to put in the new password, which is password 123. Alright, so you can see that authentication tokens are updated successfully. So we need to relabel SELinux context, and to do that we'll use the touch command. Okay, this is going to be auto relabel. So this is going to relabel the necessary files that need to be relabeled. Alright, so after doing this, I'm going to press enter. Then I can use the exit command, leave that single user mode, and I can reboot the system. Alright, so I'm going to wait till the system reboots. So the system is rebooting now, and see that it's rebooting. So let's wait for the system to boot up. You can see that relabeling the SELinux is relabeling the files, the necessary files and directories, and it's saying that it could take a very long time depending on the file. So let's wait for this to complete. So I'm just going to pause the video. When it gets to 100%, I'm going to resume the video. Alright, so it's gotten to 100% and the system is trying to boot. Alright, let's wait for the system. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. Waiting. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. Yeah. Need to come up. Alright, so I'm just going to try the new password, the new root password, and let's see what we've done. It's gonna be root. It's going to be password 123. Alright, so you can see that we are in now. So this is how you're going to solve this kind of question. Thank you for watching, and please, you can reward us by subscribing to this channel, and bye for now. Hi everyone, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. Question 13 is based on Auto Mount with NFS, and the question is: configure NFS client which has this IP to use NFS shares from server drdev1 which has an IP of this, and make it persistent across reboot using Auto Mounter, which is AutoFS with a direct map. The NFS share is /software download and must be mounted on /software/review with read-write access. Use NFS mount as the map file name. So this question is based on using Auto Mounter with NFS in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this won't be a problem. So this is a link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is a link to managing NFS and Linux, which is the link to the lesson pertaining to this question itself. And this is the link to where you can always ask your questions. You can also ask your questions in the comment section below or in the leave reply section on the website. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below so that you can easily click on it and navigate through. You can easily check the solution summary when you click on the link, and you can also put the question by your side while solving. Alright, so that is the essence of dropping the links. So let's solve this question. The first thing we're going to do is to configure NFS client. Alright, so let's install the NFS utils package. I already have this package on my system, so it should tell me that I have already. And if you don't have this package in your repository, don't worry about it, just leave it. All right, this is Red Hat 8 and not Red Hat 7. And the only reason why I always install this package is because if I want to do some troubleshooting steps, I usually need this package, and that's why I always install this package. So if you don't have it on your system, don't worry about it, just forget about it. All right, so this is what it's telling us. You can see that it's already installed on my system. Now that this has been installed, we need to make sure that the RPC bind service is started and enabled. By default, this service is always started and enabled, but it is also a good idea to verify that. So we can just use the systemctl command. We can say systemctl status RPC bind. So you can see that this service is started, it's active and running. So that's fine. Now that we've been able to verify this, the next step we will take is to verify that the NFS share is available for us to use. So we can do that by using the show mount command. I can say show mount -e. I'm going to point to the NFS server, which has this address 192.168.170.172. So in the exam, you're going to be given the host name. So just use the host name instead of the IP. The only reason why I'm using the IP is because this is my lab and I don't have the DNS resolution working properly. So that's why I'm using the IP. So in the exam, you're going to be given the host name. Just use the host name instead of the ID. So if I run this command will show me the export list for the NFS server, and you can see that the NFS, one of the export lists is our server. You can see our server here, which is 192.168.170.171. This server, which is the NFS client, so is part of the export list. So that means that the NFS share is available for us to use. And again, sometimes when you run this command, you might get an error. I could remember that sometimes when I'm doing this on Red Hat 8, I usually get errors like RPC bind blah blah blah. All right. So if you're getting such error with this show mount -e command, then you can verify by using this other method, which is by mounting the root file system of the. You're not actually mounting the root file system, but you're mounting the root, all right? But then logically, it's going to show you the NFS shares that are available. So what we're going to do is we're going to do mount -t NFS on the server, which is 192.168.170.172, all right, on root. And I'm saying, okay, mount this on /mnt. So if you go to mnt and you do ls, you can see that we have our NFS share available. All right, you can see the NFS share here. So according to the question says that our NFS share is /software download, and it is available for us to use. And you can also see that when we mounted the root file system, like I have said, it's not going to show you everything in the file system. Not like it's going to show you whatever thing you have on the root file system of the NFS server. What it's going to show to you is the devices or the directories that have been shared, which we have confirmed here. All right, so we can then unmount. Let's unmount this directory. Okay, so this is very good. We've been able to confirm that the NFS share is available for us to use. To configure Auto Mount, we need the AutoFS package. All right, so this is the package or the service that we need to use that will make Auto Mount to work. So we need to install this. So I can do DNF. Let me just clear my screen. So I can do DNF install AutoFS. I have this package already installed on my system too. If it is not installed on your system, it will definitely install this package on your system. So you can see that it is already installed on the system. And to use AutoFS, you need to create a master map file and a map file. So that's what we're going to do next. We've already ascertained this fact in the course of our lesson. We looked at how to create both files, both master map file and the map file, where the master map file will be referencing the map file. All right, so let's create the master map file now. And don't forget that the question says that let me look at the question again. So it says we should create we should do this with a direct map. All right, so there are some questions that would not specify if we should do this with a direct map or without a direct map. And some questions will say, okay, configure AutoFS or Auto Mount using a direct map. Some will say configure AutoFS or Auto Mount using an indirect map. While some will say, okay, configure NFS client using FS-tab file and forget about Auto Mount. So we've treated enough questions on this website. I think question 34 thereabout was about using an indirect. Okay, the question didn't specify whether we should use a direct or an indirect map, so you'll be the one to use the one that you're most comfortable with if the question did not specify. All right, so in this case the question has specified that we should use a direct map. Okay, so let's create the master map file. I'm going to do this in etc auto.master. So some people usually create their master map file in this AutoFS configuration file, right? But I've always advised you that creating or putting a file in a configuration file, sometimes if there is an update, that file could be overwritten. So what we're going to do in this case, or what I would recommend, is that you create a drop-in file, which is going to be in auto.master.d. all right, so this is master.d, and the question says that we should name the map file NFS Mount. So this is going to be .autofs. all right, so we can create the file, and we can, since it is a direct map, so this is going to be slash and slash dash, and this is going to be slash etc slash auto.nfs mount. So what we are saying is that AutoFS should look at this file, this etc slash auto.nfs.mount. all right, if there is any activity on this directory, this is a direct map, so which is slash software slash review. If there's any activity on this directory, AutoFS should mount whatsoever configuration you define in this file on this directory. So this is what all of this means. So we can save this file. All right, so now that we've been able to create the master map file, so don't forget, let me show you, we created, like I've just explained. So we're saying that AutoFS should look into this file. Then we need to create this file. Oops, we need to create this file, this reference file. all right, so we need to create this file, which is the map file. So let's create the file. So we're going to do etc auto.nfs mount all right, so make sure that whatever name you have here should also be the name that you're going to have here as well. All right, so we can define our parameters here. So we're going to say this is the direct map, which is software slash review. So this is going to be the mount point. And we're saying, okay, according to the question says that the NFS share should have a read and write access. All right. So I can also add this synchronization mount option. By default, it is as synchronization. But what we're saying is that when there is a write, then there should be an immediate synchronization. Then on the server, which is 168.172 on this location. So this is our NFS share, which is a software download. Okay, now we can save this file. The next thing we need to do now is to start and enable AutoFS. So we can use the command systemctl enable now AutoFS. Okay, AutoFS. So you can see that a symbolic link has been created, so saying that it has also been enabled. So let's test our configuration. Let's see if our Auto Mount configuration is working. So we can just go to the directory. If I do this on software /review, okay, so this is fine. You can see that our configuration is working very well. These are the contents that we have on the NFS share. So if I do cd, I can also list the content. I can do this software /review. Alright, so our configuration is fine. And the last thing you may want to do, which I'm also going to advise you to do, is to reboot your system to see if everything is going to come up fine after the reboot. So I'm just going to pause the video, and when the system comes back, we're going to continue with this. Our system should be back by now. All right. All right, so let's confirm our share. Our NFS share is going to be software review. So we're still fine. We have our NFS share. We have the content in our NFS share being displayed, and this is very, very fine. So I would employ you to look at, I think, question 34 or 30. Yeah, where we did the one for the indirect map. All right. And one of the questions we solved again, we did the one for FS tab. We made the NFS share persistent using the FS tab file. All right, but I'm concerned about the one that we used the indirect map as well. You should check that question. Let me look for that question. Yeah, so it's actually question 34. So we're not it wasn't specified if we should either use a direct or an indirect map. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. You can reward us by subscribing to our channel and liking our videos. We're going to appreciate that a lot. Thank you once again, and bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 14 is based on managing SELinux, and the question is: on your server, make SELinux run in enforcing mode. The SSH port number on your server has been configured to use port 2019. Manage SELinux policy for SSH by changing the type context of port 2019 to SSH_port_t. It must use the TCP protocol. And the third part of the question is: a website which has its website file to be website 2 is inaccessible because of the Apache web server that is configured to use a document root of this, which is different from the default document root. Debug the SELinux issue and fix this situation. So this question is based on configuring and managing SELinux in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. This is the link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is the link to configuring and managing SELinux, and this is the link to where you can ask your questions. You can also ask your questions in the comment section below. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dropping the link to this question in the description section below, so you can easily navigate through. You can also check the documentation of how it's been solved. Checking documentation sometimes is actually very good, because there are some things I might not say during the video which you can always see in the documentation, and you can also always check the solution summary. And even while you're solving in your practice in your lab, you can put the questions by your side and you solve along. So you see, while we're doing both documentation and the video. So let's solve the question. Let's verify the SELinux mode on the server. So I can use the Stratus command, and you can see that the current mode of SELinux is permissive, and the mode from the configuration file is permissive as well. So to make this enforcing, we need to edit the configuration file. So I can do etc sysconfig SELinux. So I'm going to edit this to be enforcing. Alright, so I can save this file. You can see here that SELinux can take one of the three values: enforcing, permissive, and disabled, but we want to put it in enforcing mode. So just take this enforcing mode, just put it here. So I can save this file. If you do SEStatus again, so you can see that the mode from the configuration file is now enforcing. However, SELinux current mode is still permissive. So let's change this to enforcing. If I do what's the command again? Set I'm just trying to remember the command again. I am definitely thinking about my Christmas rice. Alright, so yeah, it is set enforce. Alright, so set enforce, enforcing. If I do SEStatus again, so you can see that the current mode is in enforcing mode. So if you're in the exam and you forget about, or you forget a command, alright, what you can do is just use the man command and use it as against the keyword. So let me look for a keyword of SELinux, and you should check for the man page for number 1, 5, and 8. So for example, if I check for 8, you can see here that I have set enforce, which is modify the mode SELinux is running in. So I'm just showing it to you. In the advent where you forget a command, this is Linux, you can always make use of your man page, and we have already talked about this in the course of our study. So now we've been able to edit the current mode of SELinux. So let's see the second part of the question. The second part of the question says that the SSH port number on your server has been configured to use port 2019. We should manage SELinux policy for SSH by changing the type context of port 2019. Let's even verify the context that port 2019 has. So we can use the command semanage port list, then let me grep for 2019. So you can see that there is no context that is attached to port 2019, and the question said that we should change the context, or we should attach the SSH underscore port underscore T context to port 2019. So we can also even grep for the port that is attached to this context. So let's do this SSH underscore port underscore T. So you can see that port 22, we can see that this port 22 here, of course, is attached to this context. Alright, So the question says that we should also attach this context to port 2019. All right, and to do that, we can use the command SELinux port is hard type. Am I sure? Okay, so what I can do is I can just check for the man page of SELinux port. All right, then I can look for example. You can see here that allow Apache to listen on TCP port 81. So this is an example. I can just, whoa, you can even see here, allow SSHD to listen on port 88. Wow, so this is what we are even looking for. So you see what I'm doing. If I see that a command is trying to give me a problem, I'll just use the man page. In quotes, if it is trying to do strong get for me, man, just use your man page. So this is cool. Let me exit out of this man page. So I'm just going to paste it here. Then I can follow this command. So it's going to be SELinux port hard, type SSH. From the question, it is SSH port underscore T, which we also have here, -P, which is the port, and it was given the question that it has to be TCP protocol, and this has to be 2019. Okay, so you see that it's taking time. It's taking time to attach the label. All right, so let's verify our changes. We can use SELinux port list. Let's grab this to 2019. So now you can see that this context has been attached to port 2019 as well with the TCP protocol. So that's that about the second part of the question. Let's solve the third part of the question. The third part says, let me check again. A website which has its website file to be website 2 is inaccessible because the Apache web server is configured to use a document root, which is this. Okay, debug the SELinux issue and fix the situation. So what we need to do is let's even verify if website 2 is available in the new document root according to the question. So if I do ls-l on web server new document root, alright, so I can see that website 2 is here, and I can also verify the content of website 2. Let me just do this. Web server new document root website 2. Alright, so this is the content which says this is a test website for the new document root. And let's do one thing again. Let's even verify if we can browse this website from the browser. So I can check from the Firefox browser. So (192.168.170.172), yeah, website 2. Alright, so you can see that it's forbidden. You don't have permission to access website 2 on the server. So since the question has said that a different document root has been configured, so it is likely that the type context of the new document root has changed, right? And also, since we were also denied when we're trying to access website 2, I'm sure logs must have been generated on the system, so we can troubleshoot this in two ways. The first way is to verify the type context of the new document root, and the other way is to check the system logs for the SE alert messages. So let's verify the type context. So I can do this new document root website 2. So if you look at the type context, you see that it is carrying a default type context. So of course, this wouldn't work. All right. And the question has already stated that the document root has been a new document root has been configured. All right. So what we need to do, of course, is to change this this type context rather. We're supposed to change this type context to the source context. That is the one that the Apache web server is using. And another way we can troubleshoot this to be sure what the problem is to check the SELinux messages. And to do that, we can use let me just clear the screen. I can use cat var log messages. So I can grep for SELinux messages. Alright, when you look at this, you can see the different logs that we have here. So today is 25th of December. You see why I said I'm thinking about my Christmas rice. So 25th of December, you can see the logs we have here. drdev, set troubleshoot, SELinux is preventing this. Yeah, this. I'm actually looking for a message that is way better than this, so I can do this to more because I know it's a large file. Alright, so let's see again. So you can see here, this is the type of message I'm looking for. SELinux is preventing user has been HTTPD from server, access on the file, web server, new document, root, website 2. For complete SELinux message, run this command. So let's run this SELinux command. I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. No, this is not what I'm looking for. SELinux. Alright. So if you look at this file, most times this is what I look at here. So I scroll up and I look at the additional information. You can also, let me scroll up and you can see what we have here. See that it's giving us suggestions that SELinux is preventing blah blah blah. If you believe that blah 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 and all of that, but this is what I usually look for when troubleshooting SELinux. I come here to look for additional information. I can see the source context, which is this, and I can see the target context, which is this. So you see that the source context is different from the target context, and you can see the target object. So of course it won't work. So there is no magic there, it will never work. And when you come here also, you can also see here, you can see type ABC, you can see from here source context here, and you can see the target context here. So they are different. What we need to do is to change the type context of the new document root of this to what Apache developers has configured. Alright, so to do that, we can use so what we can do also, because the truth of the matter is we don't know the context, the type context, we don't know what to change it to. So this is what I used to do. What I used to do is most times I'll just go to the file where, normally if you're configuring Apache, your website file or the content of your website is always in HTML for the default document root. So all I can do is I can just create a file there. I can do touch var www html. I can just do test -file. So when I create this file, I'll be able to get the default context for that file. So if I do ls, let's do ls-lz, you can see that the default type context is httpd_sys_content_t. So this is what we are going to change new document root to. So if I do for new document root, that's web server, new document root, website 2, you can see that it's different, so it won't work. Alright, so now that we've been able to troubleshoot this, let's fix this problem. And to fix this problem, we need to use the SELinux command. So I can do SELinux f context, so that's file context. I told you I always have issues with this command. I don't know why, especially when it comes to SELinux. So I can do man SELinux. This time around it's a file, so it's going to be file context. You see, my tab is not even working here. Alright, so the former one was ports. That was why it was SELinux ports. So when you are using the SELinux command, as against whatever thing you want to configure, this is going to change. So I can look for example. Alright, you can see it, add file context for everything under /web. And as a matter of fact, this is what we even want to do. So this is cool. And don't forget, if you follow me through the course of the study, after running this on a file, you also need to run this command as well. You can see it says remember to run restore after you set the file context. So these are the two commands that we need. I'll just copy this too. Alright, and you can paste it here. So what we can do now is to change the context of the new document root or web server or website 2, whichever one. Alright, we can use the recursive command. So to do that, let's do SELinux f context followed by hard. See what I'm doing? Followed by hard, followed by type of the context, which is httpd _ sys _ content _ t. Alright, so you know in the man page it says for web, but this time around ours is going to be for web server new document root. Alright, then followed by the regular expression, which is /. I should have just copied this thing. Okay, file context already defined. Alright, so that means I must have done this before, of course, when I was preparing for the documentation. Then I can run this command. Alright, so this command will be as against the web server new document root. So it's recursive. Alright, so I might not specify website 2, and if I wish I can also specify website 2. So this has not worked. Okay, you can see that it has been relabeled. Alright, so what we can do now is to now verify the new type context of website 2. And to do that, let me clear the screen. You can just do ls for this, and you can see that the type context has changed. Alright, so that's cool. If I try to browse now, let's see what we're gonna have. Let me just reload this. Alright, you can see now that we can access website 2. This is a test website for the new document root. So this is how you're going to solve this question. And thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel, share our videos, like our videos. This is how you're going to encourage us and reward us. And you should also check other SELinux questions. I think question 48, 45 or 48 thereabouts. Yeah, you should solve more of the SELinux questions. Thank you once again, and bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 15 is based on managing LVM in Linux, and the question is: resize the logical volume with the name mysql_db_lb to 252 MB and its file system. In any case a device is needed, use dev SDC, which must be partitioned to not more than 110 MB. Create a logical volume of 100 physical extent with the name Anna_db_lv using the volume group with the name Anna_db_vg. Create Anna_db_vg volume with 8 MB physical extent on dev STD if it doesn't exist, and mount the logical volume on Anna_db. The logical volume must be formatted with the XFS file system and persistent across reboot. Initialize an already existing partition of 300 MB, which is this, as swap space, and make it persistent across reboot. So this question is based on LVM management in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. This is the link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is the link to managing LVM in Linux. This is the link to managing storage in Linux. And this is the link to extending and reducing LV in Linux. And this is the link to where you can ask your questions. I'll also be dropping the link to this particular question in the description section below. So let's solve this question. The first part of the question says that we should resize the logical volume MySQL_db_lv to 252 MB. So let's even see the logical volumes that we have on this system. So you can see the logical volumes that are present, and this is the logical volume in question that we need to increase. And presently this logical volume has the size of just 152 MB, and we need to increase it to 252 MB. Alright, and you can also see that this logical volume is associated with this volume group, MySQL_db_vg. So you know that before we can increase the logical volume, we need to increase that logical volume from the volume group, if you know much more about the LVM technology. So to increase this, let's even verify if you have enough space on this volume group. So I can do VGS. So you can see the volume group in question, and you can see that presently we just have about 44 MB free space on the volume group, and the question says that we should increase the logical volume to 252 MB. So apparently we need about 100 MB right here, so that this can be increased to 252. So we need roughly about 100 MB. Yeah, because if you do your calculation, let me do this thing. If you do 252, all right, minus 152, if I subtract that, so I need about 100 MB, and we just have 44 MB. Okay, and in the question says that in any case a device is needed, we should use dev SDC, right? So let's even list our block devices that we have here. So this is SDC, and the question also said that it should be partitioned to not more than 110 MB. So what we're going to do right now is to use this device so that we can add this device to the volume group, and from the volume group we can extend our logical volume. All right, so let's partition this device. So I'm going to do fdisk dev STC. All right, so N to add the partition. It's going to be a primary partition, the default here. First sector, I want the default. Then I'm going to add this to be 110 MB. Created, blah blah blah. Yeah. Let me verify before I write. Okay, so you can see that I'm going to be creating a partition of 110 MB. So I can write this now. So let's verify. So you can see that the SDC has been partitioned to SDC1, and we have 110 MB. So now we can extend the volume group by 110 MB. Okay, so this is present size. So I can just do VG extend the name of the volume group. I've always told you that if you don't have an idea or you've forgotten how to use a command, always use your man pages, right? So this is going to be VG extend. The name of the volume group is MySQL db underscore vg, then we're going to be using this device, which is device stc1. Alright, so you can see that the volume group has successfully been extended. So if I do VGS, you can see that the volume group is now 152 MB. So if you do man VG extend, alright, and you do example, just as I've always been showing you, example, you can see the command here. So this is talking about adding 2 PVs to a volume group. So we just added 1 PV. So we did VG extend, the name of the volume group, and we just added 1 PV. That's physical volume. If you're going to be adding more than 1 physical volume, you're going to also add the other physical volumes. Alright. So now that we've been able to extend the volume group, we need to extend the logical volume. Alright, because the question says that we should extend the logical volume, and it's file system. So if I do df-h, you can see the logical volume in question here, which is MySQL underscore db. It is mounted on this MySQL underscore db, and you can see the available size, you can see the used size, you can see the current size here. Alright, so it is mounted on this file system. You can see the device in question here, the logical volume in question here. Alright, so to extend this now, we need to use the lv extend command, and to do that we can do lv extend, alright, followed by the size. So we're going to be increasing this by 100 MB. So don't forget that currently the size is 152, and to increase it to 252 we need to add 100 MB. Alright, then this is going to be on device MySQL underscore db underscore vg. That's the volume group, followed by the logical volume. Alright, then on device stc1. So what I'm going to do is to add the R option, which means that I also want it to resize the file system at once. If I did not add this R option, it means that I will have to run the command xfs underscore growfs to also increase the file system if it is an xfs file system. Alright, and if it is the ext4 file system, I will need to run the command resize to fs. But if I use this R option, it means that as I am increasing the logical volume, also increase the file system at once. So I'm going to do enter. Alright, so the logical volume has been resized, so it's trying to resize the file system now. So it's taking its time to resize the file system. So you can see that the file system has also been resized. Alright, so if I do df-h now, so I'm just going to grab this to my SQL grep. You can see that the size has changed compared to what it was before. You can see the new size. You can see that the file system has been extended. Alright, if you compare to the former one, you can see that the file system, so it was 147 MB, that's the size, and the current size is now 247 MB. Alright, and also if you do LVS, you can see that your logical volume has been extended to 252 MB. Let's solve the second part of the question, which is to create a logical volume. The question says that we should create the logical volume using the volume group with the name Anna underscore db underscore vg. So let's verify if you have that volume group on this system. So you can see that we don't have any volume group as such on this system. So what we need to do is to create this volume group, and from the question has said that we should create, if the volume group does not exist, we should create it with 8 MB physical extent on dev std. Alright, so to do that we're going to use the command vg-create. The physical extent is 8 MB. Alright, and the name of the volume group, which is Anna underscore db underscore vg. then we're going to be creating it using the device STD. All right. So you can see that the volume group has successfully been created. You might wonder that I didn't create a physical volume first. So from Red Hat 7 and above, if you create a volume group, a physical volume would automatically be created. So if I do PVS, you can see that a physical volume rather, has been created. You can see the physical volume. So I don't need to run the PV command. If I want to, I can do that. If I want to run the PV create command, I can do that. But if I don't want to, I might not do that because it will automatically do that for me. So we can verify the volume group. If you do VGS, you can see that the volume group has been created. So we need to create the logical volume of 100 physical extents, and to do that I can use the command lvcreate followed by the name of the logical volume, which will be ANA underscore db underscore lv, followed by the size. Alright, so if I'm using an extent size, I'm going to use the lower letter, which is -L. If I'm using the size and the unit, I'm going to use uppercase -L. So in this case, if I want to use the uppercase L, this is going to be 800 because I will need to multiply 100 times 800. If you remember that during the course of the study, I mentioned that a physical volume equals a physical extent rather equals a logical extent. All right, so I need to multiply the 100 times 8 by 8, which will give me 800. But you can choose to use the physical extent size. All right, so to avoid confusion, and I'm going to do this on ANA db vg. So this is the volume group. So it's telling me that there is a signature on it already, that should it wipe it, of course. And you can see that the logical volume has been created. If I do LVS, alright, you can see the logical volume, which is this, and it has been created. You can see that it is actually 800 MB, just like I've told you that when you multiply 100 times by 8, it's going to give you 800. You can also, if you want to check the physical extent size, just use the LV display command. So this is going to be on dev ANA. So the physical extent will be, current logical extent will be 100. Sorry, I mean logical extent. So you can see that it is 100 and the logical volume size is 800 MB. So the question says that we should format it with the XFS file system, and to do that we need to use the mkfs command. So we can do mkfs.xfs on dev device ANA-DB ANA-LV. So this has been formatted with the XFS file system, and to make it persistent across reboot, we need to put it in the fstab file. And the question also says that we should mount it on this mount point, ANA_DB. So let's create the mount point. Okay, so we can now map the logical device to the mount point. So before I put it in the fstab file, I can just simply do mount this device ANA on the mount point, which is ANA-DB. If I do df-h, so you can see that it has been mounted. So what I need to do next is to put it in the fstab file. I can just do vim etc. Let me use the vi editor, fstab. So I can insert. I'm going to add this. So I can either use the UUID, or if I don't want to use the UUID, I can use the device. So it depends on what I wish to do. But I would advise you that if it were to be a standard partition, you should use the UUID. It is safe that way. This is going to be ANA DB PG ANA db LV, and this is going to be mounted on AnaDB. It's an XFX default 0, 0. So I can just do mount -8 to be sure that every entry in my FSTab file is fine. Alright, so this is how you solve the second part of the question. Let's solve the third part of the question. It says we should initialize an already existing partition of 300 MB, which is the STE1, as a swap space. Alright, so let's verify if we have that disk on our system. So I can grep this to STE1. Alright, so we have STE1 and it is already 300 MB. So what we can do first is to verify the current swap, the size of the swap on the system. So I can use this command to do that. You can see that the current swap size on the system is this in MB. Alright, and we need to initialize dev STE1 as swap. To do that, we can use the mkswap command, and this is going to be on dev STE1. The next thing we need to do is to activate STE1 as swap, and to do that we can use the swap on command. Alright, on dev device STE1. So that has been done. Let's now verify the new swap size on the system. So if I do free-m, rather, you can see that the new swap size on the system is now 1835 MB. Alright, and we can also use this command to see the devices that are associated with swap. So I can do swap on show. So you can see the device STE1 as 300 MB, and it has been activated as swap. And from the question says that we should make this persistent. So that means we need to put an entry in the FSTab file. So let's verify the device UID. So I can grep this to device STE1, and this is the device UID. So I'm just going to copy this. Alright, and I'm going to edit the FSTab file. UID equals, just going to paste the UID here, and this is going to be swap. This is going to be swap. It's going to be default 0, 0. I need to save this file. So I can do swap on -8 to verify that the entry in the FSTab file is fine. So since I don't have any error, this is fine with us, and this is how you solve the third part of the question. So I'm going to advise that we reboot the system. Hopefully our system comes back. The system should be back by now. So let's see. Okay, that's nice. So our system is back. Alright, so you can see that our system came back. So our configuration is fine and everything is fine. So if you do df-h just to ascertain that, you can see the AnaDB, you can see my SQLDB, and alright. And if you do lsblk, you can see that the STE1 has been activated as swap. And if you also do swap on -show, you can see that all our configurations are intact. Alright, so I'm going to advise you that you should check I think question 28 thereabout, that talked about swap configuration, but then it talked about priority, because you might be asked that you should change the priority of your swap. So I've solved that question, and I'm going to advise you that you should check that question. Okay, so thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 16 is based on Linux system performance tuning, and the question is: set a recommended tuning profile for your system. So this question is based on the Linux system performance tuning in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. This is the link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is the link to Linux system performance tuning, and this is the link to where you can ask your questions. I'll also be dropping the link to this particular question in the description section below. So let's solve this question. The first thing we need to do is to verify if the tuned this service is running and enabled. So we can do systemctl status tuned. You can see that the service is active and running, and it is also enabled. If it is not, you need to start and enable the service. Alright, and now we can verify the recommended tuning profile on the system, because the question has said that we should set the tuning profile to the recommended one. So to verify the recommended tuning profile, we can use the command tuned adm recommend. So you can see that the recommended tuning profile is virtual guest. Alright, and we need to set the tuning profile to the recommended one. But before we do that, let's even verify the active tuning profile. To do that, we can use the tuned adm active command. So you can see that the current tuning profile is desktop, and we need to change it to virtual guest. Alright, and to do that, we can use the command tuned adm profile virtual guest. Alright, so let's verify if it has been changed. Alright, so you can see the current active profile to be virtual guest. So this is how you're going to solve this type of question in the exam. Alright, and you can also check the website for the solution summary. So thank you for watching, and you can reward us by subscribing to this channel, like our videos, alright, and share our videos. Thanks once again, and bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 17 is based on configuring yum or DNF repository, and the question is: configure yum/DNF remote repository with the following base URLs, this and this. So this question is based on configuring yum or DNF local and remote repository in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, obviously this wouldn't be a problem. This is the link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is the link to configuring yum or DNF remote repository in Linux. This is the link to configuring yum or DNF local repository in Linux. And this is the link to where you can ask your questions. So I'll be dropping the link to this website, to this particular question, in the description section below, so you can always navigate through. And if you have any question, you can put it in the comment section below, or you can just click here and put your questions there. You can also answer some of the questions if you know the answers. Alright, so let's solve this question. The first thing we need to do is to create the yum or DNF repository configuration file. Alright, and to do that, we can do it in the etc. As a matter of fact, we will need to do it in the etc yum.repos.d directory. So if I go to this directory, etc yum.repos.d, and if I do ls, you will see the default repository configuration file. Alright, so this is from Red Hat. So if you need to create ours, if we need to create our own repository, we also need to create a configuration file. Okay, so I'm going to name the configuration file remote.repo. So whichever configuration file you're creating, make sure it has the extension of .repo. If it doesn't have this .repo extension, it will not work, but you can give it any name you want to give to it, okay? But make sure it has the .repo extension. So I'm just going to create this file, and this is what I used to do. I have an acronym anytime I'm creating a yum or DNF repository. So this is what I do. I just say ibeng. I know you begin to imagine what ibeng means. Alright, so let's start. The first I means the ID. Alright, so I can give it any ID. I can just say rel 8 base OS. Alright, so this is the repo ID. So the first I that I'm using means ID, and whenever you're creating a repo ID, we've already established this fact in the course of the study, and I said in that study then that whenever you're creating a repo ID, make sure that you don't give a space in your repo ID. Alright, make sure that there is no space. Whatever name you're going to be using here, don't give a space when you're creating the repo ID. Okay, so the next thing that's going to follow, so like I said, I means ID, then the next B means base URL, alright, equals to the E, alright, this E means enable, equals to, and the G, oh sorry, the N means name. Alright, I almost forgot, equals to, and the G, yeah, the G means GPG check, equals to. So that's the full meaning of ibeng. So it's just an acronym I have created for myself. I, which is ID, B, base URL, E, enable, N, name, G, GPG check. Alright, so I don't need this ibeng anymore. So this is what I'm going to use to create the configuration file. And because this is Red Hat 8, we have basically two packages, yes, which is the base OS and the AppStream. So the first one we are creating is the base OS that you can see here. Alright, so we're going to use the base OS URL. And from the question, the base OS URL is http drdev1/rpm/base OS. So whatever it is given to you in the exam, that is what you're going to use. So sometimes this might be given as drdev1.class1.com, whatever it is given to you, just use the exact thing here as your base URL. And if it's an FTP protocol too, use the FTP protocol. Alright, so after this we need to enable this, so we can say enable equals 1 or enable equals yes, so whichever one that suits you. But from time, I've always right from time, anytime I'm configuring this, I always use enable equals 1. Alright, and the name, I can give it any name I wish, so I can just say Red Hat Enterprise Linux Enterprise Linux base OS. Alright, then the GPG check, I will say no, so I'll put 0. Okay, so we need to also create the second file for the second package, which is the AppStream. So everything we have here too will be similar to this. So what I'm going to do is just to copy this, then I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so this is going to be, I'll change this to AppStream. So don't forget, I can give it any name I wish rather, and this is also going to be from the question. This is AppStream. So the second base URL from the question is this, which is AppStream, and enable of course equals 1. This is going to be Red Hat Enterprise Linux. I can give it any name, so I can just say AppStream. Okay, and the GPG check is going to be 0. So this is how you create your configuration file. And I think you should look at the other question that I've solved, where we had to create a local configuration, a yum local configuration, a yum local repository. All right. So I'm just going to save this file because this is a remote repository. Okay. So I'm going to save this file and I'm going to test the configuration. So if I do yum repo list, let's see if our configuration is okay. Alright, so this is fine. You can see that. Alright, this is fine. So you can see the repo ID. The repo ID that we gave, which is rel 8 upstream. You can see that we also give a repo ID of rel 8 base OS in our configuration file. You can see the repo name that we gave, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux upstream and Red Hat Enterprise Linux base OS. And you can see the number of packages we have here. We have about 4,820 and here we have about 1,661. And another thing we should be sure of is we should be sure if this is enabled. So let me use yum repo list all and let's see if this is enabled here. So you can see that this package repository is enabled, and you can see the second one too, the repo name, you can see that it is enabled. So this is how you solve this kind of question in the exam. Alright, and you can reward us by subscribing to this channel and like our videos and share our videos. We really appreciate that. Thank you for watching and bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 18 is based on configuring NTP or time synchronization in Linux. And the question is, configure NTP services synchronized with the NTP server. So this is the NTP server, which is region1.ntp.org, and set the time zone to Europe Dublin. Alright, so this question is based on the network, on configuring NTP and time in Linux in the RHCSA course on this website. So if you've gone through this website, if you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. So I'm just going to edit this on the website. Alright, so this is the link to the RHCSA course, and this is the link to the topic pertaining to this question. And here in this link you can ask your questions. You can also drop your questions in the comment section below. So I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below. So the first thing we're going to do is to verify if Cronedy is running, because that's the daemon responsible for NTP in rel 8. So I'll just do systemctl status Cronedy. So you can see that Cronedy is running. So we also need to see if it is enabled. Alright, so it is enabled. If Cronedy isn't running or enabled, you should start Cronedy and also enable Cronedy. Alright, so now we can use the timedayctl to verify if NTP is active or not. So I'm just going to use the command timedayctl to verify if NTP is active. So you can see here that NTP is active, and also system clock synchronized is yes. Anyways, this is what I am after for now. Alright, if it is not active, you need to set this NTP service to be active, and to set this to be active you need to use the timedayctl set NTP true command. So this is the command, timedayctl set NTP true or yes. Okay, whichever one will set NTP to be true if it is not in your case. So since this is true right now, we need to configure NTP client to synchronize with the NTP server by editing the Cronedy configuration file. Alright, and also I can first of all set the time zone to be Europe Dublin according to the question. Okay, let's do that first. Alright, so it's gonna be timedayctl. If I list time zones, I'm just going to grab this to doubling according to the question. Alright, okay, so I just want to confirm the format, which is Europe doubling. So to set this to Europe doubling, we're going to also use the time date CTL utility to do that. So we're going to say time date CTL, set time zone, alright, Europe doubling. Alright, so this will set the time zone to Europe doubling. You can see that formerly the time zone was in America, Chicago. So now let's verify the time zone now. Okay, so just do time date CTL. So you can see the new time zone, which is Europe doubling. You can see the time zone in GMT. You can see the time zone in UTC, and you can also see that the system clock is synchronized, alright, and of course our NTP is still active. So what we're going to do next is to configure the NTP client to synchronize with the NTP server we're given in the question. So we need to edit the currently configuration file, which is etc crony.conf crony.conf. Alright, so I'm just going to edit this line. I'm going to put here. I'm going to leave the iBurst. Alright, so I'm just going to add server here. I'm going to add the server's address, which is region1.ntp1.org. Alright, so I can just save this file. So we need to, of course, restart the service. Alright, currently. Alright, so let me verify my. I don't have this service, this NTP service actually configured. So it's possible that this is not synchronized anymore. So you can see that system clock is not synchronizing anymore. Anyways, the NTP service is active, and that's because I don't really have that that NTP server here on my network. It's just for you to understand what we're actually doing. But if you're in the exam hall, of course it would work. Alright, and after you've done this, you need to verify. You can also verify the source by doing C sources. It will show you where you are connecting the NTP server from. So I'm not seeing anything here because that address is not real. However, let me just check something very fast. Okay, everything seems to be fine. Let me just check very fast. Alright, so I'm not seeing any address here, and that's because it's not real. Alright, so this is how you solve this question. This is how you solve this problem in the examination hall. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, and bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 19 is based on managing ACL in Linux, and the question is: configure/var/tmp/fstab file permission. Copy the file etc/fstab to var/tmp/fstab. Configure var/tmp/fstab permissions as the following: the owner and group owner of this file must be root. The file, that is, this file, should not be executable by anyone. The user Natasha can read and write but cannot execute on this file. The user Ari cannot read, write, and execute on this file. So this question is based on ACL management in the RHCSA course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. This is the link to the course, which is RHCSA course. This is the link to the lesson pertaining to this question, which is managing ACL in Linux. And this is a link to where you can ask your questions. You can also ask your questions. You can send your questions to our email, info@technic.com, or you drop it in the comment section, alright, or on the YouTube channel. We're going to see your questions. And I'll also be dropping the link to this particular question in the description section below. So let's solve this question. First of all, we need to copy the etc fstab file to /var/tmp/fstab, and to do that we can use the cp command. So let's do copy the etc fstab to var tmp fstab. Alright, so we can verify that the owner and the group owner of this file, that is /var/tmp/fstab file, is root, and the file doesn't have any execute permission. So let's do the verification, which is var tmp fstab. So you can see that the owner is root and the group owner is root as well. You can also see that the file is not executable by anyone. So the user, the execute permission is 0. For the group is also 0, and for others it's also 0. The next part of the question says that the user Natasha can read and write but cannot execute on the file. So we need to use the ACL permissions to set that. Alright, we've talked about ACL permission during the course of our study, and it's used to set permissions for users that are not a member of a group or that is not the owner of a group. We've said a lot of things about ACL. It can also do more than that. So now we need to set the permissions. So using ACL, we're going to use the command set FACL. But let's even look for the man page of set FACL. So this is what I usually do. I'll just go to the examples and copy the examples. It makes it easy for me. So I'm just going to put hash here, and I can use the command. And right now, so I'm going to set the permission for the user Natasha. So I'm going to do set FACL modify user Natasha. Alright, so I want to set read and write for Natasha on var tmp fstab. Alright, so let's look at the next part of the question. So it says the user array cannot read, write, and execute. So we need to set that permission for Harry too as well. So to do that, we're going to use set FACL for the user array. Alright, so we're saying Harry cannot write, Harry cannot read, and Harry cannot execute. So it's gonna be dash. So you can do dash dash dash, that is read, write, execute. You don't want permissions for all of that, or you can just do dash. It will also take for the read, write, and execute. So we're going to do enter. So let's verify the ACL permissions that have been set on that file. You can do LSL here on var tmp fstab. So you can see the plus sign, meaning that ACL permission has been set. We also need to use the get FACL command to see the ACL permissions that were set on this file. So you can do get FACL here. So you can see the permissions that were set on this file. For the user Natasha, you can see that Natasha can read, write, but Natasha cannot execute. For the user Ari, Ari cannot read, Ari cannot write, neither can Ari execute. So this is fine. This means that it's owned by the owning group and others, and the mask is of course automatically calculated by the system if you don't set it. So this is how you're going to this is how you're going to solve this type of question in the exam. Alright, so thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now. Hi everyone. Question 20 is based on configuring a rootless container in Linux, and the question is: create a container with the name log server from rel8/rcslog image from this registry, which is registry.lab.example.com. Configure the container with systemd services as the Wala user using the service name container-log server so that it can be persistent across reboots. Configure your host journal to store all journal across reboot. Copy all journal from /var/log/journal and all subdirectories to home wala container-log server. Create and mount this as a persistent storage to the container as this when container starts. Use administrator as this username and admin123 as credentials for the image registry. Use wala as wala's password. No root password is needed because wala is a pseudo user. So this question is based on managing containers and managing logs in the RHCSA 8 course on this website. If you've gone through this course, solving this wouldn't be a problem. So this is a link to the RHCSA 8 course. This is a link to managing containers in Linux. This is a link to managing logs, specifically to how you can make journal logs persistent in Linux, and this is a link to where you can ask your questions. So I'll be dropping the link to this particular question in the description section below. Alright, so you can click on it and it will bring you directly to this website, and you can easily navigate through to any pages you want to navigate through. So let's solve this question. The very first thing you need to do is to verify if the container tools module is installed, and to do that you can use the command yum module list installed. I'm going to grep for container tools. So you can see that the module is installed. If it is not installed on your system, you need to do that, and to do that you can use the command yum module install container tools. So I can just use -y. So this is already installed on my system, and it's going to not root subscription management repository is not updated. Okay, so yeah, the question says that wala is already a pseudo user and we don't even have root credentials. So what we need to do is to use sudo here. Alright, so I'm going to put in the password for wala, and you can see that it is going to try and install this module, but because I already have it installed on the system, it will tell me that it is already installed. So you can see here that there is nothing to do. Alright, now that we have the container tools module, we can log into the image registry. So let's log in by using this command. So we say podman login. The registry is registry. So from the question, it says we should log in, we should use the registry.lab.example.com registry. Alright, so of course if you're in the exam, that is what you're going to use. You're going to do registry.lab.example.com. Alright, but because I don't have this registry here, I don't have access to this registry. The registry that I have access to, it's registry.redhat.io. Alright, so this is the registry that we're going to be using in this case. Alright, so if you're in the exam, just use the registry that you've been told to use. But in this practice question, we're going to use this registry instead of using the registry.lab.example.com. So I'm just going to log into this registry, and I'm going to put in the username, and I'm going to put in the password as well. Alright, so you can see that login is succeeded. And the next thing we need to do is we need to download the container image. But before we even do that, we can inspect the container image if you wish to do that. And if you don't wish to do that, you might leave it. In question 9 rather, we inspected the container image. Alright, and the reason why I inspected the container image in question 9 was because we were given a tag to use. So in this question, we were not given a tag to use. So that means that, of course, we're going to be using the latest tag by default. So what I'll do now is just to pull the image, all right? So I'm not going to verify any image because I know that I wasn't given any tag, and of course by default it's going to pull out the latest. I'm going to be using the latest tag rather. So this is going to be io/rel8, all right, rsyslog. So it's trying to pull the registry. All right, so the registry has been pulled right now, and the next thing we need to do is to create the container. But before we create the container, we need to prepare the persistent storage, because the question says that the content of var log journal should be copied to Voila container log server. All right, and even in the question, it says that we should configure login. So let me just try and read that part again. It says configure your host journal to store all journal across reboots. So by default, the journal entries are not persistent. This is what we have seen in the course of our study when we're learning login in Linux. We learned about priority and facility. We also learned that journal entries are not persistent. So you will be the one to make journal entries to be persistent. All right. So to make it persistent across reboots, you will need to create the var log journal directory, and that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to do make directory /var/log/journal. Alright, so you can see that I can't because I'm not a root user, but the question says that Voila is a sudo user, so I can simply make use of the sudo command to create this directory. So I'm just going to put in the password for Voila. Alright, and if I verify whatever I have in this directory, var log journal, so you can see that the journal entries has been made persistent. The journal logs. So the next thing we need to do is to restart. We're going to restart the system djournal service. All right. So although I don't have to restart that because I can already see my journal logs here. If you do this and you can't see your journal logs, you will need to restart it. So I'm just doing this because of those that might not see their journal logs. So I'm just going to restart the service. All right. No, I don't want you to authenticate as Victor, so I'm just going to do sudo. This is Voila, sudo here. So this is going to restart the system journal service. Okay, so now that I've been able to do this, we can copy all our journal entries from the var log journal and all subdirectories to home Voila container log server from what the question has told us to do. But first, we need to make the directory. So we'll do make directory home Voila container log server. All right. So we can then copy the journal. So I'm going to do copy archive verbose var log journal. I'm going to copy this to /home Voila container -log server. So it's going to, of course, tell me permission denied until I put sudo. So I'm just going to add sudo to it so that I'll be able to copy this. Alright, so you can see that this has been copied. I can also verify that it has been copied. So to do that, I'm just going to use the ls command, ls-l on home Voila container -log server. So you can see the journal entries here. Alright, so now that I've been able to prepare the storage, we can now create our container. And to do that, we're going to use the command podman run detach. It's going to be a detached container. the name of the container from the question says it should be log server. All right, and we're going to add the storage, and the question says that the home voila container log server here should be mounted on the container as var, right, as var log journal. Okay, so let me confirm from the question again, so to be very sure of what we are doing. The question says that create and mount home voila container dash log server as a persistent storage to the container as var log journal. So we are on the right track. All right, so we shouldn't also forget that we need to add this Z option for the SELinux context. All right, and this is going to be on registry.redhat.io/rel8/rcslog. So you can see that the container has been created. So if I do podman ps, you can see that the container is running. It was created 9 seconds ago and it is up for 8 seconds. And this is the name of the container, which is log server, and this is the container ID. So I used to do this twice because I really want to be sure that it's running. So you can see that the container is running. And if you also do podman ps, of course it's going to be in the archived. Yeah, okay, you can see it here as well. So now that we have that, we can verify that the container is running. The question says that we should also configure the container as a systemd service. So to do that, we need to create the systemd directory where a user's unit file can be defined. So let me clear the screen. So I'm just going to do make directory. Let me make it a parent on home voila.config/systemd user. Okay, so I'm going to generate that systemd user's unit file so that we can make use of the container as a service. And to do that, I'll make sure that I generate it in this location that I've created. So I'm just going to CV to this location, which is home voila.config systemd user. All right, so I can now generate the unit file. So I'm going to do podman generate systemd name. The name of the container is log server files new. Generate the files here, and I'm saying that I want it to be persistent across reboots as well. So if I do ls, you can see that the unit file has been generated, which is this. All right, the next thing we need to do right now is to make the container persistent across reboots by enabling the linger feature for voila. So to do that, I'm going to do loginctl enable linger for voila, and I can verify that it has been enabled. So I can do loginctl show user voila. I can grep for linger. All right, this is linger. So you can see that the linger option has been enabled for voila. If I don't grep for linger, I can also look at the other information for voila, but I don't need it. What I actually need is I want to be able to be sure that the linger option has been enabled for this user voila. All right, so this is the linger option. Now we can start the container as a service, but the container is still running. So if I do podman ps, you can see that the container is still running. So I need to stop this container, log server. I can verify that the container has been stopped. So you can see that the container has been stopped. And if I look at the archived, so I still need to remove the container from the archived as well. So I can also verify that. So you can see that the container has been stopped and it has also been removed as an archived container. So we can start and enable the container as a service now. And to do that, we can easily use the command systemctl. But first, I like to always do user daemon reload. Then I can now do systemctl user enable. Now, just the normal way you usually start your service. So this is going to start and enable the container as a service. Alright, so you can see that the symbolic link has been created, and let's verify if the container has been started. So if I do podman ps, you can see that the container has been started as a service, and it was created 10 seconds ago, and it is up 9 seconds ago. If I do podman ps again, you can see that the container is still running. Okay, so what you can also do is to, if you wish, we are done solving this question, but if you wish, you can stop the container and reboot the server. So let's just stop the container, and I'm also going to advise you to do this after the end of your exam. By the time you restart your server, you should also check if you did not restart it while solving this question. By the time you do the final restart, you should also check if your container is running, is also running, right? So I'm going to do sudo reboot to reboot the system. So I'm going to pause this system. When the system comes back, I'm going to try and log in to see that our container is running as a service. Alright, our system is back. So I'm going to log in as Wala. Alright, so I can do podman ps. So you can see that the container is running. So apparently the system has been back 2 minutes ago, and it's it's running for about 2 minutes ago. So this is how you solve this kind of question in your exam. You can support us by subscribing to this channel, like our videos, and share our videos. And I also don't want you to miss out on the interesting courses that are coming up soon. So you should do well to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.